Here's how to DJ hip hop like a pro. My name is Jack, and I have been a professional international DJ for over 15 years. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I mix hip hop when I DJ live so that you can do it too. Let's get into it. On the left hand side, we have the track Drop It Like It's Hot by Snoop Dogg. And on the right hand side, we have the track Next Episode by Dr. Dre and again Snoop Dogg. Now, the first thing we need to be aware of is that the sections of a hip hop track are usually determined by the lyrics. So depending on what lyrics are being sung at that time will determine what section of the track you are in. There are two main sections of hip hop and R&B tracks. These are choruses and the verses. Now, how you identify what a chorus is? The chorus is usually the main part of the track, which is also known as the hook. It's the most memorable and catchy part of the track, and it is usually repeated several times throughout the track. Usually, choruses are also 32 beats long. Now, the verses I usually see as the parts of the track in between the choruses. These are not usually repeated, and you'll only hear a verse once throughout the track. You can have different verses throughout the track, but it will be a different verse every time, whereas the chorus will be the same chorus throughout the track. The verses are usually longer than 32 beats as well. And that is the main way you can identify the different sections and if it's a chorus or a verse that you're listening to. Now, to find where the different sections are in a track, you can just listen to the track and listen to see if the lyrics repeat themselves or not. You'll usually pick up on where the choruses are fairly quickly as you listen through the track. Another way that you can find where the choruses and verses are in a track is by using a website called Genius. So if you just search genius.com, you'll come to this website here, and just on the top right hand side here, you can search a certain track and it'll give you the lyrics of that track. So let's do the track Drop It Like It's Hot. And if you open up that track and scroll down, we can see here that we have the chorus, verse 1, chorus again, then verse 2, and it will just give you the different sections of the tracks and the lyrics that are included. Now, the first thing we need to do when DJing hip hop is find where the ends of the chorus are on the track that you're mixing out of. Alright, so if we go back to the Genius website and we go to the chorus and just have a look at that last line, the last words are "cause I got it going on." And if we scroll down, that'll be the same for every single chorus as well. So what we need to do now is just find where that point is in this track and just set a hot cue marker as a visual representation of the end of the chorus. So let's have a listen through.
Pop it like it's hot, pop it like it's hot, pop. That's whiter than what you feel like chinchilla, they ain't gon' pass me shit, dude. Pop it like it's hot, pop it. Pouring Sean down and I roll the best weed cause I got it going on.
Alright, so that's the first point there. And what I'm going to do is just set a hot cue marker here just as a visual marker. Let's keep listening and find the next point.
Pop it like it's hot. And if I'm warm and I'm pouring Sean down and I roll the best weed cause I got it going on.
Alright, so there's another point as well. Let's just set a hot cue marker there. Let's have a listen to the next one.
I'm a bad, how you get low? Pop it like it's hot. I got the rollie on my arm and I'm pouring Sean down and I roll the best weed cause I got it going on.
Alright, and that is the end of the last chorus just there. Now, the reason why I'm highlighting these points, where it's the end of the chorus and the start of the next verse, is because these are the best points to mix out of a hip hop track into the next track. This is because the audience are already expecting a change at this point. They're expecting the end of the chorus and the start of the next verse, and it's at the end of the main point of the track. You don't really want to be mixing out before the chorus starts because that's the main part of the track and the main hook that everyone really wants to listen to. The verses, people are not really as bothered about on most tracks. So these points that I've highlighted with hot cue markers are going to be the ideal points to mix out and then mix in the next track. Now, another reason why we set a hot cue marker at the end of every chorus of the track is so then we have different options to mix out of the track. When DJing live, not everybody wants to hear every track in full. Sometimes mixing early out of a track actually keeps the momentum going on the dance floor a little more. So when we set hot cues at the end of every chorus, this gives us multiple options to mix out of the track. We can mix out earlier in the track if we feel like it's not going down too well and the audience are getting bored, or if the track is going down really well and it's quite popular at the time, we can mix out right at the end of the track. This is where I would make a decision when DJing live at which point I can mix out, but I still have the ideal points highlighted. Now, the next thing we need to do is find where the intro ends on the track we're mixing in next and where the lyrics start on that track. So if we listen to the start of this track on the right, we should be able to hear the intro of the track. So generally, intros of tracks won't have any lyrics in them. This makes it a lot easier to mix with and mix over the top of other tracks. So what we need to do is find where the end of this intro is and the vocals start. So we're almost there, let's keep listening. Alright, so it's just at that point there, let's wind it back. And it's at this point here where the intro ends and the lyrics of the track begin. So what I'm going to do is just set a hot cue marker here, just as a visual marker for me to know when this point is in the track. Now, as you can hear then, this track has a really nice intro, and that is because I have got it from a DJ specific platform. If you get your tracks from DJ specific platforms, they usually have really nice intros made specifically for DJing, which helps you mix your tracks together. Whereas if you were to use original versions of tracks, such as from Spotify or Apple Music, they generally won't have these intro versions of tracks available. So for example, let's listen to the start of this track again. This is an intro version from a DJ platform. It sounds like this. But if I get the original version up on the left hand side, the original version of the track sounds like this. Now that's still nice, and I have still used that track to DJ with, and you can still mix with that track. It just sounds a little bit better with the intro version, and it just makes it a little bit easier. This is the same with the track Drop It Like It's Hot. Let's get the intro version back on the left hand side and the original version on the right hand side. You should be able to hear that these start a little differently. The intro version on the left sounds like this. So this is the version from the DJ specific platform. And this will have a nice long intro like this to mix with before it goes into the lyrics.
When the pimp's in the crib, ma, drop it like.
Alright, and then we're into the vocals, but on the right hand side is the original version, which sounds like this. Which again, you can still mix with and still use to DJ, but it's just a little bit easier to use the intro version from the DJ specific platforms. You can get these DJ specific tracks from platforms such as Beatport, BeatSource, DJ City, BPM Supreme, and that's just to name a few. There are many other DJ record pools and DJ platforms that you can use to download tracks. The reason why I'm highlighting this is because this is one thing that a lot of pro DJs do, is they use DJ specific tracks when they're DJing professionally. Makes their transition sound a lot smoother and makes it a lot easier for them to mix their tracks together. Alright, so let's get the track Next Episode back on the right hand side. So on the track we're mixing out of, we found where the chorus ends and the verse of the track begin, which is just here. And then on the track on the right hand side that we're mixing in next, we found where the intro ends and the vocals start, which is just here. Now what we need to do to get a perfectly timed mix is to make sure that these 2 points cross over at the same time. That way then the chorus ends on the track we're mixing out of and the vocals and lyrics begin on the track we're mixing in next. This will make for the smoothest transition, and it's the best way to keep the momentum going on the dance floor for the audience. But the thing is, how do we make sure that these 2 points cross over at the same time when DJing live? Now like I said at the start of the video, the choruses of hip hop tracks are usually 32 beats long. And also the intro versions of hip hop tracks that you can get from DJ specific websites are usually 32 beats long as well. This means that the intro of the new track you bring in next should fit perfectly over the top of the chorus of the track you're mixing out of. So what we can do here on the track on the left hand side is go to beat jump. And then when we're on beat jump here, we're going to go backwards to the left 32 beats. That would take us to this point on the track on the left. And now if I go back to hot cue and just set a hot cue just here, this hot cue is what I call a timing hot cue. It lets us know when to press play on the next track to make sure that our timing is right. And hopefully this should also be the start of the chorus. So what I'm going to do here is just change the color of these hot cues just to make it easier for you to see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set the timing hot cue as an orange color and then the hot cue at the end of the chorus a red color. Now this is actually something that I picked up off on one of my students that I teach. I personally set my mix out hot cues blue, but he actually came up with an idea of setting it amber and red, just like a traffic light system. So when you get to the amber hot cue or the orange hot cue, that is when you should start your mix and get ready to mix out of the track. And then when you get to the red hot cue, that is when you should be mixed out of the track and stop that track. I thought it was a really good idea and a really easy way to understand it, especially as a beginner. Now we can see the amber hot cue at the start of the chorus and the red hot cue at the end of the chorus. Now what we need to do on the track on the right hand side that we're mixing in next is also go to beat jump and do exactly the same. We're going to beat jump backwards 32 beats, just like this. And now that should take us back to the start of the track. We're going to go back to hot cue and just set our hot cue just here. Now, if we make sure that these 2 points line up when we're DJing, this should make sure our mix times perfectly so that when the chorus ends on the track on the left, the lyrics start on the track on the right. Now, you might have noticed these 2 tracks are at different speeds. The track on the left is 92 beats per minute and the track on the right is 95 beats per minute. So what I'm going to do just for the sake of this video is get these 2 tracks at the same speed by using beat sync. So when I turn beat sync on both of these tracks now, you'll see that they'll both go to 95 BPM. Now when we mix these 2 tracks together, they'll automatically snap in time with each other and the beats will sound good to the audience. I personally use beat sync all the time when I DJ live. I think it's a great tool to use, especially if you understand how to use it properly. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is mix these 2 tracks together and show you exactly what I would do if I was DJing live. When I'm mixing, there's 3 main things that I use. These are the channel faders to control the volumes, the low frequency equalizer dials to control the low frequencies of the track, such as the bass and the kick drums, and also the echo effect, just to sometimes put a little bit of echo on the track that you're mixing out of so it doesn't end too suddenly. When I do my transition, on the track that I'm mixing in next, I would generally have the channel fader all the way down and the low frequency equalizer dial all the way down. Then when I press play on this track, I'm going to slowly bring the channel fader in. Then when it gets to full volume, I'm going to switch over the low frequency equalizer dials. This is called a bass swap. This is to make sure them low frequencies don't clash, and the reason why I want to do it with the low frequencies is because these carry the most energy in your track. These are the frequencies that we don't want clashing, because these are the frequencies that are going to cause the most problems for us when we're mixing tracks together and DJing in clubs. Then once I've done the bass swap, I'm going to slowly pull the channel fader down on the other side and maybe add just a little bit of echo on the track on the left, just so it fades out nice and smoothly. Altogether, that mix would sound like this.
Matter of fact, you should take 4B and think before you fuck a little skateboard B. When the pimp's in the crib, ma, drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot. When the pigs try to get at you, park it like it's hot, park it like it's hot, park it like it's hot. And if a nigga get an attitude, pop it like it's hot, pop it like it's hot, pop it like it's hot. I got the rollie on my arm and I'm pouring Sean down and I'm over best weed cause I got it going on. It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G. Snoop Dogg.
Alright, so that is how you can mix over this first chorus of the track, Drop It Like It's Hot. But to just make sure this track is now fully prepped and prepared to DJ live, what I'm going to do is go into the second chorus at the end where it's hot cue F just here, colour that red to make sure that that's where I stop my mix. Just going to move that forward a little bit. Then go to beat jump, and then just beat jump back 32 beats, go back to hot cue, and set a timing hot cue just here, and I'm going to colour it orange, which represents amber. Then do the same with hot cue H, that's the end of the last chorus. So just put the playhead right there on hot cue H, colour this red, beat jump back 32 beats, go back to hot cue, and then as you've seen, I've left another gap here, set another timing hot cue just there and set it as amber. Now when I'm DJing live, I have 3 mix out points that's going to sound really good to the audience by layering the intro of the next track over the top of the chorus and having perfect timing. And what I did there in that example is use the EQ dials to mix those 2 tracks together. But as you may be aware, we also have stems available when DJing now. Stems is becoming ever more popular when DJing live, especially with hip hop tracks. So what I'm going to do now is show you how I'd mix these 2 tracks together, but this time by using stems for more impact when DJing. So just quickly, before I show you how to mix those 2 tracks together using stems, if you're enjoying this video and you're enjoying this tutorial, you will probably also enjoy my beginner to pro DJ course. It teaches you all the techniques that I use when I DJ live, and it is designed to take you from complete beginner basics all the way up to advanced mixing techniques, with the goal for you to be able to create professional sounding DJ sets by the end. Here's an example of a message I received of someone that had took my course. It says, "My G, I just wanted to say I discovered and bought your course a month ago and I just had my first live gig last night and it went amazing. Thank you for all the gems for real. I just watched the whole course, took notes and honestly felt that flow state's performing." If this sounds like something that can help you on your DJ journey, just head over to my website at offtherackjack.com. The link is in the description, and then just click here on Beginner to Pro DJ course and it'll tell you all the information that you need to know about it. Now, if you're not familiar with stems, what stems does is it allows you to remove certain sounds from tracks, such as drums, bass, instruments, and vocals. So for example, if this track was playing on the right hand side, we can remove the drums, the bass, instruments, and then put them back in, instruments, bass, drums, and also remove the vocals. Now, I've been trying and testing out stems in my live DJ sets over the last few years, ever since it first came out. And the best way that I have found to use stems when DJing live is to remove all the instruments and drums and the bass from the track you're mixing out of, leaving just the vocals, and at that point bringing the intro in of the next track at full volume. I would do all this at the start of the chorus of the track I'm mixing out of. So for example, let's say this track on the left hand side is playing, we already have the start of the choruses highlighted in orange. So as soon as it gets to that point, what I'm going to do is remove all of the sounds apart from the vocals. So when the chorus starts, it is just the vocals, like this.
Room full of fine dime bristles, waiting on the pistol, the diesel, and the shizzle. G's to the bizac. Now ladies, if we yes sir. When the pimp's in the crib, ma, drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's.
And then just at that point, I would bring the intro of the next track in at full volume. Now it can be quite a lot to remove all them different sounds individually. So one thing we can do is change it so it isolates just the vocals at one touch of a button. So if we go to settings in Record Box, go to extensions, then to stems. This is also how you can enable stems as well, just here at the top. And then if we scroll down to active stem setting, you can see it says mute or solo. So what I'm going to do is click this solo button, exit preferences, and now this time when I press the vocal button, it will isolate just the vocals.
Drop it like it's hot. When the pigs try to get at you, park it like it's
so it's a lot easier than trying to remove each individual sound. If you have a track with a strong intro that people recognize, such as the next episode, this can be a really impactful way of mixing your tracks in when DJing live, and that transition would sound like this.
I got a living room full of fine dime bristles, waiting on the pistol, the diesel, and the shizzle. G's to the bizac. Now ladies, if we yes sir. When the pimp's in the crib, ma, drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot. When the pigs try to get at you, park it like it's hot, park it like it's hot, park it like it's hot. If a nigga get an attitude, pop it like it's hot, pop it like it's hot, pop it like it's hot. I got the rollie on my arm and I'm pouring Sean down and I'm all the best weed cause I got it going on. It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G. Snoop Dogg.
Alright, now you might have noticed that I use stems on my DDJ FLX4, and that is because I have assigned my stems function to the performance pads on my decks. So that way when this track is playing,
it's hot. When the pigs try to get at you, park it like it's hot, park it like it's hot.
I can use the performance pads to remove the instruments and drums and then bring them back in. Now stems doesn't work on the DDJ FLX4 as standard. Now I have done a video showing you exactly how you can get stems on your DDJ FLX4. Now if you want to watch that video next, then check out this video here, and this video will show you exactly how you can get stems on your DDJ FLX4. Thanks for watching, I hope to see you again in the future, bye for now.